Welcome back, you guys. Today I'm going to be talking about the great Bill Russell and his fight against racism throughout his entire career. Just a warning to everyone that this video will contain sensitive subject matter, so please bear that in mind. Now onto the video. Bill Russell was born on February 12, 1934, in a time where racism and tensions were extremely high in the United States. Because of that, Bill Russell had an extremely tough time growing up that would later continue to be a recurring struggle throughout his life and career. While growing up, Bill had experienced a lot of racial discrimination and injustice from either other kids or other adults. But one that really stood out to me was that back in 1942, a group of 5 boys came up to a 9-year-old Bill Russell who was sitting on the steps outside of his house, and they just slapped him for no reason. Like many kids, Russell went and told his mom about what just happened. They then went out to find those 5 boys, and when they finally did, Russell's mom told him to fight them, each and every single one of them, and all at once. So you guys know what Bill Russell did? He fought all of them at once. He said that, "I wasn't scared of these boys, but I wasn't eager to fight them too, but I knew better than to argue with my mother." And in the end, he won 2 of the fights and lost 3. After the fight, Russell's mom said it didn't matter if he won or lost those fights. All that mattered was that he stood up for himself. And this would prove to be an important lesson for Russell that would stick throughout the rest of his life. As we all know now, that Bill Russell would become an 11-time champion and arguably the best player in Boston Celtics history. But not what many people knew was how much abuse and criticism he got while playing there. From the moment that he was drafted, fans shouted out ignorant phrases and words at him such as "go back to Africa," "baboon," "coon," etc. And according to Bill Russell, he said that as far as he was concerned, he was playing for the organization, not the city or the fans. And I wouldn't blame him. Throughout his time on the Celtics, he noticed certain things that just didn't make any sense. For one, the championship contending Boston Celtics couldn't even sell out the Boston Garden, but a mediocre Boston Bruins team would sell out almost every single game. This led to a survey that was conducted by the Boston Celtics to ask fans how they can improve their attendance. And well, the results are disappointing to say the least. Over 50% have responded that there are too many black players. Imagine being the face of your team, winning consecutive championships, winning MVP, and being told that the only way fans will like the team is if you weren't on the team anymore. Unfortunately, this isn't even the worst that the fans have treated Bill Russell. Sometime in the late 50s and early 60s, Bill Russell and his family went on a 3-day trip and came back to see that their house was vandalized with racial slurs all across the walls and human feces on the bed. It is insane to think that people would do that to someone else, let alone a basketball icon based on the color of his skin. Red Auerbach, Russell's coach at the time, told Russell that the best revenge that he can have on an enemy is to outlive them. Russell knew that the world wasn't ready to accept Bill Russell as anything other than a black man. He used his hate to fuel his amazing play on the court and let his stats and championships do the talking instead. But racism didn't stop in Boston. It continued to follow Russell everywhere he went. Before the 1961 season, the Celtics were scheduled to play an exhibition game in Kentucky. When he and some other black teammates went to get some food at a local restaurant, they were all refused service. And remember when I said that he learned to stand up for himself? Well, he did, but not by violence, but more of a political impact. Russell and his black teammates boycotted the exhibition game and just went home instead. This was extremely controversial back then, but as many people would learn in the later years, if you mess with Bill Russell, he's the one that usually comes out on top. In early 1970s, Russell recalled a time when he got pulled over by 2 police officers for driving a Lamborghini in Los Angeles. The officers told him that a stolen car was reported and it looked exactly like the one that Russell was driving. And when he asked what type of car was stolen, the officer immediately panicked and told him to just get out of the car. As soon as he got out, Russell immediately put his hands all the way up. And when one of the officers told him to put them down, Russell said, "No, I'm not going to put my hands down because if I do, you'll say that I went for a gun and then shoot me." Since Bill Russell was 6'10", he was very easy to spot out and a crowd started to form around them. Due to this, the officers quickly searched Bill Russell's wallet and asked if he's the same Bill Russell that plays for the Boston Celtics, to which he replied, "Yeah, I am." And then all of a sudden, the officers laughed and said it was a routine mistake. Russell knew that if he wasn't a famous basketball player, he might have gotten arrested, or worse, shot. These are just a few of many stories that Bill Russell had to endure throughout his career. When Bill Russell retired from playing and coaching in the NBA, he refused to return to Boston. He refused to return for his own jersey retirement ceremony in 1972. Instead, he and former coaches and teammates held a small ceremony before the game to raise it up. Russell loved the Celtics as an organization, but he didn't want to celebrate the retirement ceremony because there was a celebration of all of the good times. But to Russell, it just reminded him of hate and bigotry. He also refused to attend his own Hall of Fame induction in 1975 and instead just held a small celebration with his family in 2019. However, later on in the years, Russell would return to Boston to watch the games. He even returned in 1999 for an official retirement ceremony for him. Russell saw change in not only fans in Boston, but all of America. He knew that the same fans that shouted racist obscenities and slurs to him were probably long gone. He outlived them, but he never forgot. Bill Russell mentioned that things are much different today, but there are still a lot of progress to be made in terms of racism. This isn't something that we can change overnight, but I hope this story of Bill Russell resonated with you like it did to me. And I'll catch you guys next time.